hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Southern Shadows and Dust from beautiful, historic downtown Canoe. We're at the Canoe Civic Center this afternoon with Miss Willodeane Davis. Say hello, Miss Willodeane.
Hello there.
And Sandra. Say hello, Sandra.
Hello.
So we're looking at Canoe's Wall of Fame, and Miss Willodeane, do you recognize any of these folks up here?
This is Grandma and Grandpa Bailey right there.
Now they were your mama's
Mother's mama.
And where did they live at?
They lived over here where Keith lived.
Over there behind the
right by in the house by Keith.
by Scambia Academy? Yeah. Okay.
And there's my brother Curtis. He's his middle brother right there. And that up there is me and Linda Fountain. And looks like one ain't Jules' girls, I can't remember.
Now, were y'all at school on that picture?
No, we was out there in front of Matteroosh.
Okay. Back over there behind the school.
And that right there is Uncle Henry and Uncle Jody, Grandma's boys.
Now, you were growing up in Canoe in the 1940s, was that right?
Yep.
And what was that like? What was it, a fun place to grow up, or was it?
We always had fun. Even when we was picking cotton, we was having fun.
So that y'all would. Now you see that photo of they're working in the fields right there.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you remember things?
Well, I didn't work in them kind of fields. I picked cotton.
Now I think those are potatoes.
Yeah, some of them picked up potatoes or worked in the sweet potatoes, but I never did.
Now this building we're in here, how do you remember this? Was this the?
I don't remember this building.
Oh, okay. Well, it was the drugstore back in the day.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, this was the drugstore, and it had a soda fountain in it. You could buy ice cream. You could, obviously get prescriptions filled, and you could catch the bus here. And there was a matter of fact, here's a picture of it before they redid it in the 70s. See, there's what it
right
looked
here.
like. Yeah, that was when they were putting a new roof on it and all of that sort of thing.
Well, it hadn't changed very much.
And you remember the post office at Canoe?
Yeah, it's across railroad tracks.
That's right. And those are the post office boxes.
Yeah, somebody told me that.
Yeah,
last time.
they held
And this right here was my first grade teacher out here at Canoe, Miss Ola.
McNeil.
Miss Ola McNeil.
Yeah.
She was my first grade teacher.
What'd you think about her? Was she pretty nice, or?
Well, I can't remember.
You can't remember?
I just recognized the picture.
I'm gonna let Sandra. Sandra says I pan around too much with it. But, you remember any of these folks? I don't think any of these have ever been identified.
I hang up my glasses there in my purse in the truck.
Now,
So I can't tell. That looks like one of the Bell girls right there.
now these folks here's a bunch of Rowells from back in the
That's
day.
Grandma Rowell. That's Daddy's mama. That's all his brothers and Grandma Rowell.
Okay. And
Then he had two sisters. They not on there though.
and there's Pete Rowell and Jake Turner.
That's my dad.
And so Pete was your dad, right?
Yeah.
But wasn't his name Woodrow
Wilson.
Rowell? And there's a picture of him there too.
Yep. And that's Mother right up on the top. My mama.
Back when they were a lot younger.
Yeah, 'cause Mother died at 62 and 60. Daddy died at 62.
Now Margaret Bailey, right over there.
She was a baby.
She was a baby. How old was she when she passed?
42.
Now she was a looker. Now that's a good-looking woman.
She
now,
was
wasn't
42 years old when she passed.
it? Yeah, beautiful.
She never did have any kids, but she adopted a boy.
And the one reason all these photos are on the wall in Canoe is that these were people that lived here and had their lives made, and they kind of came and went, and we didn't want them to be forgotten. So we encouraged people to get us photos and little biographies so that we could put them up and remember them, so that 100 years from now people would know they lived. Now, see that Farrar Hall up there? He died in a plane crash. He joined the Army Air Corps in World War II, and the plane he was flying in was struck by lightning and crashed and died. And so he didn't didn't die in combat, but he died during World War II. Now there's your Aunt Lottie, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Aunt Lottie and Quentin, sure is. Or Aunt Lottie and James, her oldest boy. I can't tell if it's Quentin or her son. I can't see it good enough.
Yeah, this Civic Club is really important to a lot of people because get-togethers here, and you come here and research and you learn about you.
This is Grandma and Grandpa Bailey right here. My mama's mom and dad.
Well, you know, while we're talking about these folks, you remember where your grandma lived, where y'all were over there on Jerkins Loop. So let's go over there and take a look at that place and see how it's changed over the years. Go down this lane right here. Now this went to, what was this down here?
Well, where we lived when I was little. This was Grandma Round's, Grandpa Round's old place. Now right up here on the right was a little house that belonged to them, and they lived in it before they moved down yonder where the big house was. It was empty.
Now did they farm, or did they, were they sharecroppers, or what did they do? But that old house dated way back, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
It's a bumpy road. You know, there's an old gully down in there that was.
Well, I know there was old gully down in there, and there's old where they draw the water out of. There's big old wells, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a mulberry tree yonder?
I'm not sure.
It is. That was in our front yard.
Well, let's get out and take a look and
What's this on the left?
see what's here.
I think that.
So this would have been where you grew up as a little child, right? Where your grandparents' house was at?
After they got moved from over there at Max Smith's mom's down there, they moved over here.
And was this house already here?
Yeah, it was already here.
And it was an old house, probably,
Yeah,
right?
Grandma and Grandpa Round lived in it.
Well, do you see much now? That cluster of trees there looks like it's pretty old. Does that look like it rings any bells from back then? The house would have probably sat right here in the middle. You remember? Did it have a well? And
yeah, they was a well, but it wasn't up close to the house.
now, did y'all?
We had an outdoor toilet out there somewhere.
Yeah, it had an outhouse.
No, it's a toilet.
Oh. Well,
it had a hole in the ground with a little shed built over the top of it.
well, did y'all have electricity?
No.
And how did y'all keep your stuff cold and your groceries?
Mother put the milk in the hole in the ground and kept it cold.
So that was like a spring, or was it a spring under there, or was it just a hole?
No, she just dug a hole and dropped the milk down in there with a rope.
Interesting.
All the way down to the bottom of it. And
wow. Oh, she put it in the well, probably.
No. She put it in that hole they dug.
Okay. So.
But
well, you know, after. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Looks like that right there might have been a mulberry tree, but I don't know if that's a mulberry tree. It seemed like it was right over in there, because it was on that side of the house. The house faced this way.
Was it how big of a house was it?
Well, it had a porch all the way across the front, and it had, I think, 2 bedrooms, because we had to sleep 4 to a bed. And
4 to a bed?
When we was little.
Wow. Anybody steal the covers?
I imagine.
Anybody snore?
I imagine. And then seemed like the living room was on the right hand side. There was a hall down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And
so when did y'all move away from here?
Golly, when we moved away from here, we moved up to Canoe by this the old lady that lived down there in the woods that growed up down there.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name?
Miss Hall.
Miss Hall.
Y'all lived on Arthur Hall's place, right?
No, it was his mama's place.
Okay. Oh, y'all lived there. Okay.
That we rented from his mama.
Well, And then didn't you move to Atmore
No.
at some point, right?
After we left from here, we went to Hogwalla.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
But-
we lived there a little over a year. And when we left from there, we went. Where did we go?
Wilson Avenue?
I guess it's.
In Atmore?
Yeah, I guess it's.
And your dad worked for a Scambia tractor.
Yeah,
right.
for John Deere place.
Yeah, John Deere place. Now, after y'all moved, eventually that house was torn down, and the Farrah's, W.D. Farrar ended up with the property, right? And then they built a dairy out here.
This one.
Yeah, and then I read, and as a little boy, I remember coming out here because Mac Harrison run the dairy for Mr. Farrar, and they had a trailer out here. And my dad used to bring me over here, and me and his daughter Rhonda and some other kids, we used to play out here, you know, and that was back in the early 70s. But I read in newspapers recently that back in the 50s, the Scambia County Dairy Association used to meet out here at this dairy, and they would put on classes out here and stuff like that. And you know, at one time there was 30-something dairies in Escambia County. I mean, can you imagine that? There might not be 30 dairies in the whole southwest Alabama now.
What's his name that goes to church?
Wiley?
Wiley. He ought to know about all of that.
Well, Wiley, and I want to thank Wiley on this video for giving us permission to come out here and shoot this and look at this, and he gave us permission to look at it. I think I'm gonna walk over here and take a look inside the old Kwanzaa hut. You know, those right there started in World War II. Did you know that?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
See that big shed over there? How it's round and everything? Those started in World War II.
Oh, that right there?
The Seabees built those all over the South Pacific because they could put them up quick.
Well, that wasn't there when we lived here.
Oh yeah, that's probably post World War II stuff. That probably well, you know, the old newspapers show them meeting out here in the late 50s. So sometime in the 1950s was when all of this was done.
Must have been, Wiley must have had that built
That's right.
when they come out here.
But you know, there's, in my opinion, for what it's worth, there's no more strategic asset that a country has than a farm, than small farms, because that keeps the nation going. Think about World War II. If the U.S. had not had all those farms, and if the German U-boats and the Japanese Navy could have cut off the U.S. from overseas, they could have still fed themselves because they had all these farms going. So it's an important asset. Now this is a really neat construction. See how it's. Yeah, this is the inside top of that Kwanzaa hut that we're standing inside of that used to be the Farrar Dairy out here off of Jerkins Loop. It's these things were feats of engineering back in their day. And massive abandoned wasp nest over there.
Ooh, it sure is.
Yeah, you don't want to get in that thing. It'll mess your day up when there's wasps in it.
Elliot got one at my house the other day.
Oh, he was stung?
No, he didn't get stung, but they chased him.
Yeah, Elliot's tough. He could probably give them a run for their money.
He wound up knocking the wasp nest down.
Yeah, I went to get some gas in my dad's truck the other day, and it'd sit for a while, and it had a yellow jacket nest in it, and all of them flew out there at Baker's store. There's another view of the side of this old building. Hard to believe there used to be so many dairies in Escambia County, and now there's none. So we're looking for an old mulberry tree. Yeah. It looks like there's some old trees in here maybe. Have to watch for snakes out in here. I do remember that block building right there as a child when we'd come out here. Now that's a Chinaberry tree that we're looking at right here. not native to the South, but there is a lot of them in the South. I guess you'd say they're naturalized Southern citizens by now because they've been around so long. I suspect some of these pecan trees were here when Miss Willodeane was growing up. These fields were all plowed by mules. Cowpen Creek is just right below us, about maybe a half a mile or less. There's a gully back in there. You can't see it, but it's huge. And it was, that gully, the Farrar sold dirt to the state when they were building Highway 31, and so a lot of the foundation from Highway 31 came from right here where we're standing at. In the 1950s, there was a pack of wild dogs that was plaguing the Robinsonville Canoe area, and these dogs were killing livestock, scaring people, getting up under houses and carrying on. And one day the men of the community somehow hemmed up those dogs in that gully over there, and they stood around the bank with their rifles, and they put down all of those wild dogs. My daddy tells that story, and he said some of them, it was almost like they were rabid while they were shooting them. And that was a long time ago, but it's one of those stories that you hear your dad tell it or your grandfather, and you just don't forget it because it sticks with you. It's a beautiful place, and I want to thank Wiley for giving us permission to shoot out here and to preserve this spot and the memory of it. I hadn't been out here in probably at least 40 years myself. We'll take a little more look at it. Yeah, I do think that farming is one of the most important industries we have in the U.S., and I hope our politicians do more to support it and expand it. I think they ought to be subsidizing small farms so that a man can make it with 40 acres again, but that's just me. So looking at World War II era technology. Like I was saying earlier, Seabees built these all over the Pacific in World War II. Their motto was, "We build, we fight." And they would come into an area, they'd land with the Marines, build runways, build these Kwanzaa huts. It was quite an undertaking. There's another block building in here. Gonna see if we can take a look at it without getting surprised by a reptile creature. Not sure we can quite get there, but I remember going here when this place was still in use, and it was you didn't think about in those days that one day there wouldn't be dairies as prevalent. I think NAFTA heard a lot of that because you had Canadian products sold so cheap. You know, let's see if we can just get to that door. I guess if I get nailed by a snake, it'll sure make for interesting viewing. Somebody, probably not me, but see what we got here. One of the old newspapers, I don't know if I said this earlier, talked about the Escambia County Extension Service doing classes at this dairy, and the dairymen association would meet out here, and they would do trainings and talk about land management and insect control. Really neat part of our history. Well, I want to thank y'all for being here with us today and taking a look at this on Southern Shadows and Dust. And thank everybody for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and share. Also, check us out in the Flomaton newspaper, the Tri-City Ledger. Southern Shadows and Dust goes under the name All Things Southern there, and also in the Atmore News magazine monthly. And books are available, the books I've written on the subject, on lulupublishing.com, barnesandnoble.com, and amazon.com. So look forward to seeing you on the next Southern Shadows and Dust.